The black neighborhood used to be bounded by Lexington on the west side, Western perhaps, and maybe a little down toward the Capitol on the east, University on the north, and Selby on the south. This was a very warm and nurturing neighborhood. There were shops all up and down Selby. You wouldn't have to leave this area to buy a suit of clothes or whatever, it was all there. Those resources stayed inside the community because those people weren't welcome to come and spend at other places. So it sort of oiled itself and took care of itself.
You can't look at this neighborhood and not also understand what happened in Rondo and understand the impacts of a freeway swath cut through a vital African-American neighborhood in St. Paul.
In the 50s and 60s, the notion was, well, I'm a white college-educated man and I know best, and we're going to put the highway where I think it should go, regardless of what you think. You live in old houses, I'm going to tear them down, and you can go find housing somewhere else. The African-American community was essentially powerless in the face of the federal government and the cooperation of the St. Paul city government.
I don't like to label racism and racists. I don't like those labels. But not liking those labels does not mean that what we did, the action of building the freeway right through the Rondo neighborhood, that was just terrible.
I had just started driving when they put the freeway through, and that did cleave the neighborhood, and there were lots of different diverse reactions to it. Some people thought, my God, I can get rid of this house finally, to eminent domain. And then there were those who, I remember one gentleman who sat on the porch with a shotgun saying, no, this is mine, I don't want to sell it.
I think the freeway coming through at the location that it did, rather than going north of the Capitol, made a huge difference, was very instrumental in destroying their neighborhood and changing the attitude of the Ramsey Hill neighborhood.
Many of them stayed in the neighborhood. They rebuilt and moved around a little bit, and then some of them were moved out. But it wasn't totally decimated to the point that people just left and said, this has no worth at all. No.
The grieving that occurs in St. Paul over the Rondo neighborhood has a lot of impacts beyond just that neighborhood and the people who remember it and want to restore it.
The sundering of the community is a historic fact, and it's our burden to address it, to be real about it, to make a difference in the future.
It's interesting the way in which poor people are sort of moved around like chess pieces. And as I travel around the country, I see that this sort of strategy was used in city after city after city. And once those communities are broken, it's a lot of work to put them back together.